Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Untitled Gaming Channel. I am AJ Gels. Guys, how's it going? I know today I was supposed to be doing my Ubisoft press conference video, and I was planning on doing that. It got late, some crappy weather. I've been not feeling well all day, you know, just general excuses. I'm just not in the mood to sit through what it was about an hour. I think about an hour long press conference, but well, hour and a half if you include the Assassin's Creed Origins gameplay that was done after. Either way, I'm not feeling super hot right now, so I just thought this would be a little fun. We're gonna go over these gameplay tour videos. I have one for Vampyr, or as I like to call it, Vampyr, but because I like to pronounce the Y. But I've seen this video and the developer called it Vampyr, so I am incorrect. Vampyr, new upcoming action RPG with vampires, made by Don't Nod. Kind of a very different game from their other stuff. You have some Call of Duty WWII gameplay, Spider-Man gameplay, Days Gone, Far Cry 5. But basically, from what I can take from a lot of these, like, these are developer interviews. These are people talking over gameplay. This is what I like to see in the press conferences. They're doing this now afterwards, I guess. Still, I'm not a super huge fan of this, but these were some of the standouts to me in some of the press conferences that I really did want to sit down, learn, and talk about. So we're just going to go through these, have some fun, talk, and whatnot.
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCullum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Rest assured, I will protect you and your staff.
McCullum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this.
Alright, real quick here, this is just from what I found reading about this game, that you play as this guy named Jonathan something. I can't remember his last name. He was a doctor. The game takes place in England, if you can't tell by all the English accents. The game takes place in England. I can't tell if it's kind of like an alternate past or in the past, I'm not sure if this is kind of like we're doing like I'm getting like an Order 1886 vibe out of this, where it's set in the past, but it's an alternate version of the past where some technology might be further ahead or whatever. But there's vampires, and our character is a newly turned vampire, so it's a big thing. You know, he's trying to save people as a doctor, but he also has to feed. I'm trying to remember from the synopsis that I saw of the game's concept. It's a really interesting idea. I've seen multiple vampire games be done in the past. There's been Vampire Masquerade. I think that's what it was called. It was something like that. It was a PC RPG. Ran kind of slow, but I mean, I've seen gameplay for it. It's a neat game in and of itself. Jeez, there's been other vampire games that I just don't think have worked as well. I think this is the freshest looking. It is pseudo open world from what I can tell. I believe the developer talks about that in a little bit. I feel like there's something else that I wanted to mention that the guy didn't mention in this video. What was it? Pseudo open world. We play as a vampire who's also a doctor. There's something else. Maybe it'll come back to me.
Welcome to London 1918, as we leave Pembroke Hospital, a sacred ground where the vampires and the guard operate in harmony. You're Dr. Jonathan Reed, and you're searching for somebody who threatens to dismantle that harmony in Dontnod's narrative-driven action RPG, Vampyr. Exploring London, talking to her citizens will reveal hints about the location of your objectives, but you'll have to earn them by playing with the delicate social microcosms that tie the survivors of the Spanish flu and vampire societies together.
That was what it was. It was something about the Spanish flu.
Seemed so lost when he entered my bar a few nights ago.
Thank you for your hospitality. I'm Jonathan Reed, by the way.
I'm still Tom Watts. Welcome back, Doctor.
Tom, I need to find Sean Hampton as quickly as possible. I've been told you could help me.
I heard the sad saint was recovering at Pembroke Hospital. Did he leave or something?
The important thing is I find him, quickly.
Why not try his night asylum? He takes care of those who need a meal or a roof there.
Where is it?
It's in an old warehouse, northwest of here. Just follow the bank to the west and go north when you reach the end of the pier.
So we're now en route to the docks to find Sean and understand why he's fled away from the hospital and probably killed another patient, Harriet Jones. As a vampire, you have access to skills in combat as well as outside of combat, often to help you traverse a semi-open world. The most efficient way to grow stronger is to feed from the healthy, not to fight those risking the flu and pollution in the streets to hunt vampires and skulls. If we were unable to be...
Real quick, I can't remember if he covers this a little later. Within the world, there's the normal humans, the vampires like Jonathan here, and there's also, I think it's skulls, S-K-A-L-S, I believe it's what it is. They're basically like, as far as I can understand it, why is my screen like blinking, like going black at times? It's weird. They're like heavily mutated, deranged vampires. They're more beast than human, so... That's that. Right there, you kind of saw that that wisp jump across that little docking chasm area. See, my question is, and it's not answered in this, is there some semblance of stealth in this game, or is it all fighting? Like, can you be stealthy, or this is always my question, because I like to take stealth approaches when I can. But, I don't know. Curious.
Beat this mini-boss, we would be tempted to return to the bar, and perhaps feed from Tom for a greater experience boost, returning stronger, but with London thinning in numbers. Vampyr's combat system uses a mix of melee and ranged weapons supported by vampire abilities that allow you to be the vampire you want to be. The gameplay is based on timing, positioning, and management of different resources. The stamina bar regulates your melee moves and dodges, the blood bar controls the use of your supernatural abilities, and the health bar represents your health.
Pretty obvious which one's all which.
There are many areas to explore, loot, and pick up information to learn about the world, its lore, and what happened to London since disease spread. At the beach, we're fighting people operating under the head of the vampire hunter's orders. The Pruin guards are investigating this beach, searching for skulls.
Stay close, keep an eye on each other.
Real quick, like right there, like he was looking up at that guy. My question is, could you take that guy out using stealth, or do you have to fight him like combat-wise? These are my questions. That's what I'm asking or wondering. I know I'm kind of just posing a question out there to the world, even though I'm not sure if anybody out there could answer that question.
Skulls are a lesser species of vampires lurking in quarantine areas, underground or in dark corners. Due to the Spanish flu epidemic, they have suffered heavy mutations and have recently become very aggressive.
There you go.
It's part of your quest to understand how they became such creatures and ultimately find a cure to save them. In this world, the human vampire hunters and skulls are having their own fight. As long as we don't get too close, we can just move on. Sean is a saint who manages a night asylum to provide food and rest to the poorest. Unfortunately, he has recently turned into a skull. You believe that, incapable of dealing with his new condition, he has fled from the hospital, a sacred ground, and murdered Harriet Jones, an old woman who certainly didn't deserve it. Most importantly, he is the pillar of the dock community, which means he's a very important character whose fate will deeply impact the district and everyone who lives within it.
Are you certain you're not lost, sir? You seem quite the stranger to these parts.
Our exploration, social manipulation, and skills in combat have led us to where Sean has been hiding. We must find out the truth about the hospital's murders, and ultimately decide his fate, and the fate of those who rely on him. Cursed be the choice.
Welcome back, Dr. Reed. Would you like to take communion with me now?
Sean, are you eating raw flesh?
It is the sacred flesh of the mortal lamb. Our Lord's bountiful transmutation for the sustenance of his believers. Thank you, Lord. I am your most humble servant.
So, true to your word, you waited for my return.
I told you, Dr. Reed, I was a man to be trusted. Did you have words with the poor Harriet?
This shelter is the tip of the iceberg. You hide your game well, I'll give you that.
We are God's children, Dr. Reed, one and all, and he's determined to save us.
Harriet, Miss Jones, has been behaving in a most violent manner. She's going to need special attention.
That's precisely the reason I brought her here. To meet old Bridget. She's the guide Harriet requires.
Harriet is possessed by her hatred. You cannot let her roam free. She's dangerous.
She has joined her own kind, Doctor. Old Bridget is a saint to the younger Skulls, guiding them to salvation and peaceful existence.
I believe I've learned all I need to know. I'm certain you've killed no one, but one day I believe you'll cross the line.
Logic is a false prophet. Faith is the only path to salvation.
What do you mean?
We have been blessed with God's eternity. We are the instruments of his divine will. We shall feed the hungry forever and ever. Amen. Give yourself over to God, Doctor. Expel your urges and kneel before the Lord in praise.
These urges. You know the hunger will never be satisfied.
I have come to embrace the everlasting craving. I have sworn to feed only upon the flesh of the dead. It is now my sacrament. Take, eat. This is my body. So saith the Lord.
I really like that priest guy's eyes, like just that pale white color.
PlayStation
I definitely think that game's got has some what's the term? I don't know why I can't think here. I think there's a lot of possibilities in that game. I'm not really sure what all is going to be going on with that. Looking forward to whenever it comes out. I think it's supposed to come out before the end. Like right there. Did anyone notice that? Whatever. Sorry, losing my mind. I think the game's got a lot of possibilities. It'll be interesting to see how it does when it comes out. If it's going to do it this year, though, I hope to see it around August, and I don't want to see it kind of get lost in the shuffle around November, October. That crazy time with what? I mean, I think there's already 4 or 5 games slated to launch around then. You know, the new Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed. I want to say the new South Park game. There's some other stuff. There's at least another game or two going on around that area or that time period of the year. Right here, just real quick. It's just something interesting I caught on Twitter today. It was about this Life is Strange Before the Storm. Actually, I caught 2 pieces of news. One, apparently for pre-orders, there's going to be a special episode. This is going to be a 3-episode series that's a prequel to Life is Strange, and there's going to be a special episode within those 3 episodes about Max if you pre-order. So I think that means I'm trying to do math here, so that I'm trying to figure out how to explain this here. Like I said, my head hurts. I'm even a little more rambly than usual. Basically, that means you have the 3 main ones plus another one. There we go. That's what I was trying to get at. And the second piece of thing from Life is Strange that I found out, apparently Ashley Birch, the voice of Chloe, will not be voicing Chloe in this prequel. This is apparently due to the SAG strike, which is weird because I thought that strike was averted. But so apparently it's a new voice. So there you go. For any stupid tabs. So for anybody who is interested in that game, so there you go. Now moving on, another game that I'm extremely excited for. We're gonna look at some Call of Duty.
Hey, we're back live. This is PlayStation Live from E3 2017. We're right here in the PlayStation booth at E3, and it's time to talk about Call of Duty World War II. Glenn, Michael, thank you so much for joining us. You guys are from Sledgehammer. You're working on this sort of grand return to form for Call of Duty. It must be exciting.
Yeah. It is exciting.
Yeah.
3 years in the making for all the developers at Sledgehammer Games.
Yeah.
And to finally be able to put it in the hands of fans on the floor here with the first time that fans are in. It's amazing.
So multiplayer, we got to see a first look at that at PlayStation's E3 Media Showcase just the other night. Honestly, one of my favorite segments from the entire show. And I mean, I think it helped that I was sitting in the audience. And I mean, it's so hard to explain this to folks who weren't in that audience because they had these crazy effects going. It was like bullets were coming out of the screen. Literal flames were shooting up. Flashbangs are going off.
Super immersive with all that.
Yeah, super immersive. Yeah. But it was great content. So tell us a little bit about what we saw last night, what we're seeing now.
Yeah, so you're seeing now the first look. This was back in April with the campaign.
Right, the campaign area. Yep.
And then last night at your show, which was phenomenal, Sony did a remarkable job bringing the multiplayer trailer to life. I think we're going to show some of that clip a little bit later. First look we've ever had for Call of Duty World War II for fans, and man, the reaction couldn't have been greater.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. You know, I think we talked a little bit about this concept of divisions. I know is something that's new that you guys are bringing to Call of Duty World War II, and it's a different approach, a streamlined approach to the creative class concept that's been in Call of Duty for so long. So tell me a little bit about what that's going to mean.
Divisions is our replacement to create a class. And the great thing about having 3 years to really work on this game, it gave us a chance to look at every part of the experience. And so Divisions is the fantasy of enlisting in World War II. And unlike Advanced Warfare, where you were a Tier 1 super soldier, you had all the gear and weapons and intel you needed, these were 19, 20-year-old kids going to war, and you had a very different experience if you were landing in a Higgins boat on D-Day or dropping behind enemy lines as a paratrooper or showing up as a tank commander. So we want to bring that to life in Divisions. There's 5 iconic divisions, each with specific training and weapon skills and gear, and we hope that will bring a real true meaning to your playstyle and to your character.
it's a little bit of a way to kind of focus you too in a little bit. I don't want to say a class, but I mean it gives you a little bit more of a function.
Right.
It goes more with the World War II, right? That's the main thing.
Right.
To try and pull us all into this this war that we're in, and not anything in the future or whatever it was before.
Right. Now, last time we saw Sledgehammer, you guys did a grandiose, futuristic themed game. How much research went into going back to the roots of the series?
Yeah, thank you.
Real quick here, you know, they're talking about divisions and all this. This is where I'm going to sit here and go, that's almost it's a very similar concept as far as from what they're just talking about, from how I'm understanding this. It seems like a similar concept to what Battlefield 1 was doing, where you were kind of divided up into squads within the massive 64-player multiplayer maps. You know, within the massive maps, you have like smaller squads that you could interact with and talk to, and you play within the certain classes. I think this is going to be a little different, but it sounds very similar. So,
thank you. I mean, Advanced Warfare was incredible.
I love that game.
Out of that game.
Yeah.
The studio back home watching right now put their hearts into that game, and we've done the same here for 3 years. And Glenn and I and the team, and Marty Morgan, our military historian. I mean, we've personally walked literally in the footsteps of the soldiers from Normandy Beach to Germany. We've been in foxholes in the Hürtgen Forest. We've
basically studying. It's like you went back to high school for your sophomore, junior, and senior year. That's how much time we put into studying and researching for this game. And you have to. Everything from, you know, the right patches to, you know, their language, what they spoke about back then, and, you know, it was different. And the sensibilities of 70 years ago. So we have to make sure we try and get all of that right.
So it's clear, you know, the authenticity piece is really important to you guys, but again, you guys are doing some interesting things on the multiplayer front. So I know there's a little bit of this concept of kind of headquarters or something like that. So tell me a little bit about what that's going to mean.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Headquarters is the biggest innovation in multiplayer this year for Call of Duty World War II. It's an evolution that really began 6 years ago with us on Advanced Warfare, where we recognized that players needed a better way to engage in their character and to represent their efforts. And so we brought the character to life and the virtual lobby then. Now we're extending that to a true space. So this is D-Day +3. 3 days after the Allies took Normandy Beach, you and 47 of your friends, so a 48-player living experience where you start and end the night, you compete, you socialize, you peacock and show off.
Oh wow, so it's like a hub area almost.
It's a really great place for the community to come together.
Cool. Yeah.
We think it's going to transform how players engage with the game.
That's awesome.
Really cool.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
So I also know that the single-player campaign is a big deal for you guys. You guys were kind enough to answer some questions from PlayStation readers just a week or two back, right before E3. Got a little more out of you about exactly, you know, what's happening on the story front. But just tell me about the setup. Tell me about our protagonist, Red Daniels.
Well, you know, Red is like, you know, hundreds of thousands of guys back then enlisted in the war. And, you know, wanted to make a difference. Having no idea what was going on, right? And the first tour of duty is on Normandy and D-Day, and that was a big thing for a lot of people. So you're experiencing a squadron that is in the, or a platoon that is in the 1st Division that goes across, it starts in Normandy, goes all the way across France, Belgium, and into Germany. It's and some of the biggest battles of World War II, from Battle of the Bulge to Hürtgen Forest and the liberation of Paris.
Now, I know you guys are focusing on that European front for the campaign, but I think I caught a hint that maybe it might expand a bit on the multiplayer side. So what are you at liberty to say at this point in time?
Well, we showed a lot in the trailer. You're catching part of it here. This is the Ardennes Forest, which extends from Belgium to Germany. We will take you around Europe to the border of Russia, to the tip of Africa in Gibraltar.
Cool.
Excellent.
Unique locations to multiplayer, as well as some of the most iconic ones from the campaign. And of course, in the war mode, we have custom-built maps for that mode as well.
Yeah, let's talk about that war mode, because this is something I've been real curious about.
Yeah, war is exciting for us. I mean, multiplayer in Call of Duty, we love it. We have the most fun ever with it. But it's largely a lone wolf experience, right? You're fighting on a team, but you're really fighting as a lone wolf. And 3 years ago, we really wanted to bring to life this concept of real teamwork.
Yeah.
And World War II was about that. It was about your squad. And so war is that experience. It's funneling true Axis and Allied collision of forces into these very strategic examples. You're seeing right here, they're trying to capture the manor. Well, the Axis team, the Germans, are trying to defend it. So we've built custom maps that allow you to move through these series of asymmetrical objectives as you fight to take hollow ground.
That's cool, and this is great footage. I actually hadn't seen this yet, but just it's so interesting, like the firepower that was used back then. I mean, it's so brutal in some ways compared to the sleek, futuristic kind of weaponry we see nowadays. So, kind of curious, like these weapons have a lot of character in their own way, and how do you maybe adjust like how you design the game or how you design the multiplayer experience around that?
Around the different weapons? Well, I mean, it's, you're jumping there, but with all the iconic weapons that we have in World War II, it's funny because when we first started, we didn't think there were going to be as many as we found, right? We were a little worried about the variety, but now the variety and the amount of weapon power, and like you said, some of them are really brute force weapons.
Yeah.
You can find the weapon that you really want to play with, that's for sure, with this game.
Yeah, I mean, the signatures back then were really meaningful. So whether you're running...
Right there, that bayonet charge, straight out of Battlefield 1. I mean, look, I know I'm making obvious points here. I'm honestly just kind of letting these guys talk because, I mean, they obviously know the game more than I do. But, I mean, I'm serious. I'm seeing so much Battlefield 1 here, which actually kind of excites me because I found Battlefield 1's multiplayer to be so... just so much fun in and of itself. That whole headquarters thing, that 48... character living space, whatever, I could take it or leave it because that stuff doesn't terribly interest me. But this concept right here, we're kind of acting as a squad trying to take this objective. I'm sure this isn't all of multiplayer, this is just a certain chunk of it, but I really like this concept. I'm still, I haven't heard them say it yet, so as far as I can understand, we're still dealing with smaller squads, probably, I'm guessing 6-on-6. We're not having like the massive 32, 42, however many people. I think it was 64 was what Battlefield. Yeah, Battlefield was. Either way, I know. Like I said, I'm making obvious points, but I'm super excited about this. I've been waiting for World War II Call of Duty for so long, and it's finally here.
With the MG42, this big machine gun, German machine gun, or Winchester trench gun with your incendiary shells, or you've all heard it. We've all heard of that classic reload ping of the Garand.
Right.
These weapons had a heft to them and a power to them that really showcases what happened in the war. And you're right, it was brutal, right? It was a brutal, visceral, gritty war, and you can really feel that in our weapons. And our audio team and our character modeling team and our animation team, they went out and found these weapons with our military historian to capture and bring the spirit of that to life.
Right. Well, I gotta go ahead and do this. I'm a big fan of the weapons and mastering them and whatnot. And one mode that I really like to use these in is zombies. I know me and you were talking about zombies.
I love zombies.
Could you tell us what to expect on that
Tell
zombies
us something,
front?
please.
Yeah, something.
Well, yes, we are making zombies. There we go. No, this zombies is taking a different turn.
Okay.
I think every studio wants to put their own signature on it, and we just go by our default, which is very realistic, very gritty.
Yeah.
We talked about Dead Space before. Yeah, this is Dead Space meets zombies.
That's the best thing you could possibly say. I'm so excited to hear that. That's great. Because I mean, I love all the Call of Duty games, but zombies is kind of what keeps me coming back. I'm not quite up to par on the skill front in multiplayer, but co-op with zombies, I can really do some damage. So
zombies were introduced in the World War II setting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Call of Duty. So
it's a deep, rich story to zombies. Spent a long time on the story. We've been working on zombies as long as any other mode.
Wow, that's great.
That's great.
So it's got sort of equal placement for you guys.
Very rich, yes.
That's
There's
great.
a really passionate team back home right now, excited for their chance to show off, and we know that we got more announcements coming on zombies, but Yeah, it's definitely a Sledgehammer Games take on the original Nazi zombies and where we can go from there.
That's great. I think it's so important. You know, we have 3 different really top-tier studios that work on Call of Duty these days, and it's awesome that you guys have that sort of freedom to really put your studio signature stamp on it.
Yeah. You know, they come to us every time we're working on a game, and Activision is just so about having a passionate team. What do you want to work on? What do you want to make? Because they know passion fuels everything.
It's not just sort of checkbox guys in suits and ties sitting around typing at computers. I mean, I've been to the studio. I was there just a couple weeks ago. People are crunching away, but I mean, the mood is really positive. People are really excited. So
yeah, no, thank you for that. It is very true. To echo what Glenn said, Sledgehammer Games has its culture and development methodologies and creative processes that are unique to us, and Activision supports that, and that allows us really to have a team that you saw, which really they dig in to deliver something they're proud of, because 3 years is a long time to commit your life to anything, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And now to bring it here and to be able to share it with the world, with fans.
Right.
I mean, I'm coming out of my skin with exciment.
One other thing for you. I know we have a beta, multiplayer beta. It's coming up. It'll be first on PS4.
That's right.
Put my plug in there. Tell me a little bit about that beta. Like, what's the deal with that?
I have to tell you, fan feedback is what we live for.
Yeah.
And it starts here, and it continues in the beta. So you'll see some really cool things that we brought to the show floor and we have right here in your booth, and new things that we'll bring to the beta in August, first on PlayStation.
Nice.
Headquarters, divisions, war, new maps, new modes. There's going to be a lot.
Sounds like a beefy beta.
I know.
It's going to be a beefy beta.
Yeah, it is.
And then I also want to check in. I was watching the trailer earlier on PlayStation's YouTube channel in 4K, and I know you guys are planning PS4 Pro support.
That's
and
right.
I know last year's Call of Duty looked incredible on the Pro. You know, what's the story? You going to be in 4K on PS4 Pro?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're planning on, but I don't know how much we're talking about.
But it's gonna be a bigger experience on Pro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, this generation consoles allows us to do more than we've ever been able to do before with HDR and 4K, and we're excited. We're excited to have a great partnership with you guys.
Right.
It's awesome.
Right.
Guys, I think we're about out of time, but game comes out November 3rd.
It does.
So that was Call of Duty World War II. We'll have a lot more coming up. Stay with us.
Okay, this is something I don't understand with them keep trying to put with everybody trying to push these next gen consoles. It's like, oh, so a much bigger experience. How? Is it a completely different game? Like, are you adding things other than visual aspects? You know, other than these small visual aspects, are you putting extra content into these into games on Pro? Are you putting in Xbox One X? Because if not, how is it a bigger game? It just looks slightly better. And plus, well, I mean, I get it. They're trying to push the whole, well, even if you don't have a 4K TV, it'll still make your games look better. I don't know. I mean, as long as a game doesn't look crappy, I really don't care for the most part. Yet it's weird because I do nitpick a lot of animations at times. You know, if you watch my Horizon Zero Dawn Let's Play, I was picking on the facial animations all the time. Or the fact that all the characters move around like weird marionettes, but although I've said that about RPGs a lot, when you know they're trying to make these character models look human, but so they're moving around when they talk, they just don't look natural to me. Moving on, I guess the next chunk. This is Marvel Spider-Man.
Welcome back to PlayStation Live from E3. We're here to talk about Spider-Man. All right. I'm Justin Massengill. This is Sid Schumann. We've got Brian and John here from Insomniac. We got a full couch. We have a lot of people excited about Spider-Man, and I'm very excited that you guys are bringing Spider-Man to PS4 in 2018.
We're excited to bring it.
Let's start by talking about that amazing trailer, gameplay demo, that really long video we saw last night.
That's a mission in the game. It's not a trailer. It's actually a segment of the game.
Yeah, so yeah, we saw a lot of crazy Spider-Man high-flying acrobatics. This was really the first time we saw an extended look at actual gameplay from Spider-Man since the big reveal last year.
Yep. I think we showed about like 90 seconds last year and about 8 minutes and 30 seconds, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. And one of the things I think is so interesting about what we're seeing here, and we're seeing it right now, I mean, this is a Peter Parker we don't see too often. This is a more experienced Peter Parker, kind of, you know, really powerful at the height of his powers. We're going to see some of that here in a second. But tell me a little bit about how you guys approach that, you know?
So I think one thing is we wanted to, we wanted to create, first of all, we wanted to create our own Spider-Man universe. We didn't want to tie it to a particular movie or a particular comic series. You know, John and I talked a lot about, and the rest of Insomniac talked about, like, let's do our own thing. And Marvel totally embraced that. And it started with, let's make him a little bit older. Let's put him, 23 years old, just graduated college.
Real quick, I keep seeing people compare this game to the Arkham games for Batman, and I definitely see the comparison. I still see some of the older Spider-Man games, like that concept, like tying them down with the web and tying them up, the web from that perch. The web slinging once we get to that segment, it's a little later on. It reminds me so much of some of the older Spider-Man games, the ones based on the movies, or even before that. I remember playing a Spider-Man game. I want to say it was on the N64? It doesn't sound right. Might have been on the PS1. It was an old Spider-Man game. But, I remember playing it as a kid, and I'm 23 right now, so, it's been a while. But yeah, I see the Arkham connection, but I also, like I said, I see a lot of, how to put this, I see that, but with some other stuff kind of thrown in there, so.
And really at the height of his, mastery of his powers. So, when it comes to his combat or traversal, or even his gadgets, because he's a smart kid at the same time, or a smart young man at the time, right? And that all hopefully is represented throughout this demo.
Yeah, it really shows in the video that we saw and in the stuff that we're seeing on screen here. So many cool, like, acrobatic takedowns he's doing, zipping around, like stringing guys up with his webs. It looks like you guys got that swinging mechanic, which is so hard to get right.
Critical, though.
It's hard.
Looks like you put a lot into that.
I think John and I talk a lot about, and obviously Rest of Insomniac, which I'm just going to say Insomniac because it's everybody, this is a fantasy fulfillment, right? We want to feel like Spider-Man, whether we're swinging through the city, fighting, or even the story that we're telling. We want to put you in the role of that character, so we just want to have that be expressed as best as humanly possible.
Yeah, this looks incredible. I was telling you guys earlier that I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, and I feel like this game really kind of takes all of the different elements of Spider-Man, of Peter Parker, the storytelling, his relationships, his snarkiness, and the one-liners and all that stuff.
Well, I'll let the lead writer talk about that.
Yeah, I feel like it really takes all that.
It's one of the challenges with working on a Spider-Man game is that he's got all these quips that he can do, and that's something that I think a lot of people expect. However, in a video game where you do a lot of things, over and over again, you don't want to have the same quips, so that's a big challenge for our writing team, is making sure that you get the feeling of Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but you don't get the repetition.
Yeah, I think it's, for us, is have him look at the situation he's in, that particular situation, and comment on that situation. Like, there's a reason why he says something about a Higgs field when he's fighting that big guy in the bridge.
Yeah.
Use the situation of what's happening to drive the humor rather than just, I'm just going to say one line for the sake of saying one line, because...
Well, I love how he doesn't, get intimidated by it. He says, wow, that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, remember, he's a smart guy. He sees that. It's impressive to him.
And it's about science, too.
And it's about science.
Part of his character. He sees this guy, and he's like, oh, it's a Higgs boson. Wow.
I think the other thing for us is, outside of the humor, it's the relatability of the character, and there's that part, one of my favorite lines is the very end of the helicopter sequence. He's looking down the helicopter, go to first person, he goes, please don't screw this up.
Yeah.
So even though
that's because he's always thinking that.
Because I'm always thinking about the game, I'm like, oh, please, let's not screw this up. Please don't screw it up. There's actually probably a line in every trailer that's about us as a team making sure we don't screw it up. Yeah, because I think it was last time it was no pressure, right? I'm like, there's no pressure. And now it's don't screw this up. There's a level of that relatability that we want to come across, which I think what makes people like you love Spider-Man so much is that you can relate to him in some way, and we want to make sure that comes across in.
I've never met anyone else who can shoot webs out of his wrists.
Well, he's a really smart guy. He just creates web shooters. So hopefully, you can just make your own web shooter.
So, speaking of no pressure, this is an original story that you guys are putting together. This isn't based on a certain comic book arc. This isn't based on a movie. You guys are giving us your own take on Spider-Man. And John, you're the lead writer. No pressure, right?
Yeah, so there is a lot of pressure because it's a character that we all know and love, right? And you have to be able to give people what they want, in being able to be Spider-Man. But you also want to have something new and fresh so that, you know, you're not just experiencing the same movie or the same comic, you know, storyline that you had before.
Yeah, two things really drive us, I think, on that element is, one, like you said, everybody knows Spider-Man, so we want to respect the tradition of the franchise. We want to stick to that DNA, but at the same time, we also want to surprise people.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, and you know, you get a hint of it in the demo, but as we get more into the story is this idea that the best stories when it comes to this character are when Peter's world and Spider-Man worlds collide.
Yeah, yeah.
And you saw some of that a little bit in the trailer where when he shows up at the top of that bridge, you know, that tower, he says Martin Lee. He doesn't say Mr. Negative, because for him, he's like, Martin Lee, I know that guy. He runs the feast shelter. My Aunt May, works at the feast shelter. So you're seeing that collision of his two worlds. And we feel like that's something that's driving us across the entire experience, and we'll make a great story at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's really the bedrock of the whole story is Peter Parker and Spider-Man. Make sure that we represent both.
I got to just remark on this incredible footage here. And I mean, just to clarify, this is an open world game.
Yes,
I mean, worth just confirming that for the record.
Yes, it is an open world. That is Peter Parker in the suit. So I just want to clarify based on a thing that happens at the end of the demo. That is Peter Parker. He actually says Pete in one line because I've memorized every line of dialogue, and when it plays, I can tell you what he's saying at this point. Yes, it is. You will have freedom to explore the city. It's big. You know, for us, New York City is a character within itself, right? And we want to deliver on that fantasy, just like when it comes to traversal, comes to combat, comes to this human story. New York City is such identified with this character, and our artists, our designers, our world builders, everybody in Insomniac is making sure we deliver on that fantasy.
It's so cool. The artists have this map, this like really detailed map of every neighborhood in Manhattan, and you know, they all have its own name, and you know, it's really cool how the team is working.
Like I was playing the game, like just a little inside baseball. Like I was playing the game before the show because we had we're working on things.
Sure.
And this one thing I was playing, it makes you go around the city, and I was like, man, this city's big. Like our character moves pretty fast, and he can, and for us, like the way that we've designed the traversal, like no obstacle is too big for him. Like you can just constantly parkour your way through if you like, snap the line or something. And it just feels like a big place I want to explore, and we're definitely going to deliver on that.
A big city that looks really fun to explore because you're Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it looks like you guys really nailed the swinging mechanics and the wall running and all that stuff.
Yeah, we definitely want to, level of accessibility with like, hey, I want to feel like Spider-Man right away, but then there's that extra level of stuff that we're doing behind closed doors that like, you can vary up how you get to that helicopter.
Oh, nice.
You saw certain people perch, you can just run up walls. That turn that he does around the corner, that's actually the character, the player saying, I'm going to run alongside this wall, and then I want to do a sharp turn. Just press right on the D-pad, and boom, he does that swing around.
Nice.
If he hadn't done that, he would just kept going down the other street.
I need to figure out where you guys are doing this, and I need to get in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a level of like, we want you to jump in and feel like Spider-Man, but then we want to have those levels of like, when I see like someone like Scott, one of our project managers, play the game, I'm like, I want to play like that.
Okay, last question from me. We saw Martin Lee, Mr. Negative, last night. Is he the antagonist of the game? This is the first time we've really seen a villain, or like, what's the deal?
I'm glad you brought up Martin Lee, aka Mr. Negative, because one of the things we talked about unique Spider-Man universe, right? And part of that journey for us was say, we want to have some classic characters that people really know really well, like a Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, who we saw in that. And our game actually starts with taking down Kingpin and this new group, but also having characters you may not know about, they're newcomers, like Martin Lee, Captain Yuri Watanabe, who's talking to you on the phone. We want to have a good mix of them. So Martin Lee has a very big part in the game. We have a very big cast. We've kind of just scratched the surface of the story. It's a big story. Like, I was presenting to somebody a couple weeks ago, and I just sat back and go, that's a pretty big story. There's a lot of things going on. So it's just, we're giving you hints. We're going to definitely talk more about that and really kind of show you all elements of our journey between.
But one of the things I love about Martin Lee is that, we talked about this collision of Peter Parker's life and Spider-Man's life. Martin Lee, as a character, he has a positive and a negative side, right? It's Martin Lee, it's Mr. Negative. And thematically, that's really fun to play with in the story.
That's a classic superhero trope, too, I mean, there's a lot of other characters, but I think Spider-Man kind of uniquely tackles that.
Yeah, I think what we noticed is his best villains throughout his years, the ones he has some type of connection with.
Dr. Octopus.
And I don't want to say any name because then it's if people go, oh, he's in the game, or she's in the game.
But we know the names.
Careful.
We know the names.
Yeah. But I think it's when he has that connection to that character as Peter, it just means a lot more. It makes for a better journey as you're playing this game.
Yeah, that's right. So you guys are coming out in 2018.
Yep.
What are you going to be doing between now and then? Like, what's next on the agenda as you? What
are we not going to be doing? I mean, from up and down, from the building the world to our missions to our story, getting feedback from this conference and injecting into the game.
You can send me a build. I'll give you as much feedback as you need.
It's everything. I mean, you guys are interviewing a lot of talented developers. They probably all say these are not easy things to create.
Yep.
And for us, we know how important this character is.
Yeah.
It's important to me. I mean, I grew up with this character. Like, I've been telling people, like, my mom used to give me my Spider-Man action figure because it was the only thing to distract me when she was shopping in a store, and I'd create these scenarios with the action figures. To now, today, watching all those movies and TV shows.
And this is the ultimate realization of you getting to play with that Spider-Man figure.
I mean, we talk about, power and responsibility. At Insomniac, we feel a lot of responsibility to make this as good as people want it to be. And it's a lot of stress. It's a lot, but we're so excited to work on it and really humbled to be able to have this opportunity.
And we also do a lot of iteration too. Like you asked what we're going to be doing. We're going to be redoing stuff.
Oh yeah.
And making sure we do it until it's great.
So it's going to look even better. In other words.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think you see the difference between last year's trailer and this year's trailer.
For sure.
I mean, I think you're definitely seeing improvements across the board, and that will continue as development goes on.
And speaking of how it looks, I was just checking out the trailer earlier on PlayStation's YouTube channel. It's in 4K there.
Yep.
And I know you guys are doing a lot of support with PS4 Pro, so just give me a quick
Yeah,
overview
so
of that.
actually we are showing the game. We are in our demos. We're showing it in 4K, running on PS4 Pro, HDR support.
Awesome.
But I will tell you, like, I play the game at my desk and a regular PS4, and it looks great.
I have no doubt.
It just looks great. So I think both versions look fantastic.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I couldn't be more excited that Insomniac is working on a Spider-Man game. It's a match made in heaven. Comes out next year. That's Spider-Man coming to PS4, has PS4 Pro support, 4K HDR, all the bells and whistles. Brian, John, Sid, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And stay tuned. We'll have a lot more coming up on the PlayStation Live from E3.
Something they didn't talk about. I want to know what was with the Miles Morales thing right there at the very end of that trailer. Real quick, if I didn't mention, yes, Spider-Man being an Insomniac game, that is a PS4 exclusive. This is all consoles, and so is Vampyr, and obviously Far Cry 5. But we'll go into the Far Cry 5 one, it being the shortest at the end. Let's watch some Days Gone. This is probably the game that I was the most excited.
Hey guys, welcome back to PlayStation.
So I'm not talking over people. This was probably the game I was the most excited for coming into this conference. I'm seeing people keep saying 2018 for this game, yet the current posted release date is one of those time fillers. It's like the 29th of December, so I don't think that's the official date unless they say it in this video. But I'm still hoping for 2017 for this game. Although I'm willing to say, probably not right. My predictions usually suck, so.
Live from E3, we're broadcasting through Thursday. Lots of game demos, interviews, lots of good stuff coming. So much coming. So much stuff. Yeah. But right now, I want to talk about Days Gone. So welcome, John, and whoever you are. What's your name again? I forgot.
Jeff Ross.
Jeff. Sorry about
John and
that.
Jeff.
I think I did the same thing last year, didn't I?
I think you did.
Come on, Sid.
I'm a mess. I'm a disaster up here. All right, look.
Right there.
Days Gone. Right, it's right there. I have no excuse, do I? Look, Days Gone. Big presence in last night's PlayStation E3 showcase. Really, really cool sequence there. I mean, it was creepy. It was violent, very violent.
Yeah.
It showed a lot of sort of situational kind of, using the environment and the freakers that we see kind of to the advantage of the player.
Yeah.
So tell me what went into that.
Well, so the biggest thing that we really wanted to do this year was sort of show a more intimate part of Deacon's life. So last year it was the Horde, which is hundreds and hundreds of freakers, all sort of massed together, and you saw how Deacon had to struggle to just stay alive. And this year we wanted to show off more of the open world and this thing that we're calling our dynamic open world systems. And what that really means is you can use the freakers themselves against other enemies, like the Marauders that you see on the media showcase demo last night.
Right. Yeah. Actually, I have a question about the freakers because with other games, survival games, like this, for instance, The Last of Us, the clickers had this thing where they couldn't see you, but they could hear you. What is it that triggers the freakers?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
that's a good question.
It's an interesting question, and for anybody who gets a chance to see our alternate demo that we're demonstrating in the theater today or online when it gets posted, is that the time of day kind of drives the density of the freakers and the humans when they're out, but also the weather. So when it's snowing, it's going to kind of blind everybody at a distance. When it's raining, it's going to dampen the sound. So when the player learns these, he's going to be able to use that kind of context as one of he's going to play that as part of his strategy for how he approaches any encounter.
Gotcha.
But definitely sound, right? Because like you saw in the Media Showcase demo, Deacon, put down this bear trap and then kind of snuck off.
Right.
And in our alternate path demo, he doesn't do that. So he actually kind of goes around and watches what happens when this Marauder goes into the bear trap. And you hear this gunshot on the Media Showcase demo. If you look at our alternate path footage, you'll see that one of the Marauders actually shoots the other Marauder in the head because he's making too much noise.
Oh, wow.
Right? So yeah, so it's a pretty harsh world, but that sound traveled, and sound is something that can be really, really dangerous.
Gotcha. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Yeah, I did notice once the bear trap was down and the guy stepped in it, you saw the freakers running.
Yeah.
It's like they heard it screaming. You heard them screaming.
This is looking good. I didn't see all of this footage. I was kind of a little distracted last night during the showcase, but one of the things I really like about this game is it's, we see a lot of open world games out there. It's certainly like a popular genre, but this one, the feel of it is different. It feels more improvisational, I think is the word I'm going for.
Absolutely. Our crafting system, I mean, it's really inspired by, kind of the do-it-yourself mentality where, we all feel thrilled when we make a repair to our car or our house with duct tape and a couple of loose screws, and we feel really good about it. That's Deacon. He's making use of everything he can find in the environment, and they have to scavenge and search for things and employ them in really clever ways.
And he has to do it.
He has to do it to survive.
So like you see right here, this is the same clothesline that Deacon ran into, and in this demo, the runners aren't chasing him. So basically, he has the opportunity to see the ambush before it happens, goes around it, comes up behind them, and takes those guys out from behind.
Right.
So that's to your point.
And then he strangles them with their own clothesline too.
Yeah, exactly.
So he makes use of the whole buffalo.
And it's a dynamic event that can happen. You can be out in the world doing a job or a mission, and then suddenly you've got Marauders that are ambushing you on the highway, and it's a dynamic event. There's no way to predict when it's going to happen. You just got to pay attention.
Well, is there more than just like a clothesline in the middle? Do they find more ways to ambush you?
Yeah,
it's a dangerous world, and it's something where the horde is dangerous, freakers are dangerous, but so too are humans because they're cunning and clever, and they too are using everything they can find to employ against their enemies. And let's just say clothesline is one of many things. We'll get into it at a later date.
Okay.
Now tell me a little bit about, maybe a little bit of the backstory about why these freakers are being hung up like this. Is that like a defense mechanism? Is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so what they do is we call it the meat wall. And what they'll do is, like in this case, they have a bear trap under this dead freaker corpse. And what they'll do is they'll put a trap under it, and then as other freakers are attracted to the meat, they're all hungry all the time. That's what happens evidently if you become a freaker. But they hang up the meat walls again. It's kind of like a wall to protect the encampment. So you can always tell when you're coming close to a Marauder camp because you'll run into these kinds of traps.
Yeah, they had all kinds of defenses too. I mean, the first thing Deacon did was trip over that little thing in the tin cans. And that's what drew the first guy out, which is why he'd think on his toes, scramble for a bush, and then wait, and then kill the guy when he came by.
Right.
And again, in the alternate path that we're showing, it's something where if the players are thoughtful and if they take time, they don't just rush into things, they're going to be able to employ a different analysis of the terrain. They're going to be able to look for these things and see them. And that's how he sees a clothesline. And when the players are careful and cautious and assume the world's dangerous, they can turn the tables on the bad guys using the same tools that they're using against the player against them.
Yeah, so like what you're seeing now is part of the alternate path. Changed up the time of day, changed up the weather.
Okay, I was going to say, I didn't remember this from the show.
Exactly, because it's colder now, more freakers are coming out, so freakers are stronger when it's cold out. So
interesting.
You really got to be careful when it's snowing. Also, the bike handles differently. It's like if you'd seen the earlier part when Deacon's trying to ride his bike through the snow, it's very, very different.
Oh, this is really cool. I didn't realize. Interesting. So here's your meat wall, right? The meat wall there.
Yeah.
That seems like a pretty smart move, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at this, a beautiful looking game too. And I know you guys are digging into the PS4 Pro as well as you make this title. This is one that's been shown off a number of times.
Right.
I know you have HDR. Tell me a little bit about like working with PS4 Pro as you develop the game.
Well, the biggest thing is just the resolution. So dynamic 4K, And if you get a chance to see this thing on a 4K monitor, an HDR,
and
HDR is honestly, to me, the most impressive thing because it really sort of simulates what the human eye can see. The gamut of colors is just amazing. So watching it in 4K HDR is something you have to do.
It's beautiful enough without 4K.
True,
and then you add that to the mix, and it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Right. You know, one thing that stands out to me about Days Gone, amongst the other undead games out there, is that you can get so many zombies on the screen in this thing, or freakers on the screen at once. So can you tell us a little bit about how you guys went about making that happen and just getting so many freakers on the screen at one time? Was that a technical feat for you guys?
Oh, absolutely. So we have a really, really talented team. Some of our engineers and artists and designers and audio and everything, but I think we have we have this one engineer that's literally I've been at Sony for 20 years. Chris has been there like 26 years.
Wow. Right.
And this other engineer has been there like 23 years or something. And he does all of our physics. And he really, really, really worked hard to make sure that we could have as many freakers on the screen as we can. And last year's demo was no joke.
Right.
We had 300 active on screen at once.
Wow.
And the overall horde for the sawmill, we were managing something like, how many did you say it was?
Killed 1,000.
It was 1,000 freakers.
Yeah.
Whoa.
And then 300 more showed up at the end too. So.
So it's pretty impressive. So we're even impressed by it.
What do you do when you're confronted by that many freakers and in this game? I mean, we saw last year's demo. I'm not sure that ended so well. That seemed like a pretty desperate ending.
Yeah.
Well, what do you do? What could be an effective technique for getting out of that?
Weaponize them, like we saw in the demo, right? Where so that wasn't actually a horde; it was a swarm, a smaller.
Okay.
One in this E3's demos.
Yeah, in this year's E3 demo. So it's something where you can even weaponize the larger horde as well. But it's something where it's a threat to you. But if you're smart and you don't just rush into everything, you can stop and contemplate how you can utilize every weapon and every enemy and the environment against each other as part of your tool set.
And I think the short answer is until you have progressed, because this it's like taking on a swarm is something you can probably do pretty early in the game. The horde encounters are probably later in the game, and you just do what Deacon did last year.
The shortest answer is run. When you
run. Get up to a tall place. That won't save you, but it might buy you a few seconds.
Well, you saw in the demo. You saw in the demo at the showcase that they had the Deacon looks over this fence and he sees a horde down there.
Right.
Probably that's not the smartest thing to do. Would be to run down there. And mess with them. You just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Speaking of hopeless endings, there was a freaked out bear.
Oh yeah, I was going to go into that.
Yeah. So, what other types of creatures are we going to see in that state?
Well, last year we saw the horde,
right.
We saw swarmers, we saw the newts, which are adolescents when they were infected. We saw regular wolves, right? This year we're showing the Rager Bear, that's what we call it, is the Rager
Bear.
We saw runners, so runners are infected wolves. And those are the ones that, Deacon kind of ran across, then gnawing on somebody's corpse, and then one of them chased him. And the thing about runners is they can outrun your bike. And if they catch up to you, they will knock you from your bike. So it's another example of dynamic events that happen in the world that make the world dangerous all the time.
Wow.
Such a cool game you guys are making. It's really inspired. I think it's got a lot of cool mechanics to it. It's just kind of a fresh take on the open world genre. So what would you say you're most proud of as you work on the title?
Yeah.
Myself, I'm most proud of the way that our humans are evil. The way that they lie in wait and they want to ambush a player, and they themselves are doing anything it takes for them to survive, and it just comes at the cost of our hero. But humans are mean, and we're resourceful, and we do twisted stuff. And this clothesline is just kind of the beginning of the things they're doing that the players. We never want the player to feel complacent when he's riding his bike down the road. There's all kinds of ways for him to be disrupted, knocked off that bike, and it's just because we're kind of breaking what I call the design rules, the conventional design rules, and that you don't do that to players. You don't knock them off their bike. You let them, they've earned that. And it's visceral and it's exciting and thrilling to survive those types of encounters.
Yeah, it really is. I think, for me, it's just the way the game looks. So, and when you get a chance to play it the way it plays. So, like I said, we have these super talented engineers and artists and designers, and the game just looks amazing. Our goal was to create a AAA console quality open world experience, because that's not something we had really seen. I think the guys are really pulling it off. I mean, I think the characters look amazing. I think the environments look amazing, all times of day, and it's just fun to look at.
Right. I'm just super excited to find out how the world of Days Gone got to where it is. The origin story and how it led to these freakers pretty much taking over.
Yeah. Good stuff, guys. Days Gone coming out on PS4. Do you guys have a release time frame yet?
We don't. So
Okay.
we're just working really hard to
Deep
try to
in
make
development,
the best
yeah.
game. We're really happy that Sony's given us the time and resources to
Nice.
just make like a AAA open world action game, and I think it's going to be awesome.
I agree with you. I think it looks fantastic. So thanks for coming by, showing off the latest. That alternate playthrough was very interesting. I didn't realize it could go in so many different directions. But coming up next on PlayStation Live from E3, we've got a lot more. We got game demos, interviews, all kinds of good stuff. So stay with us.
Let's see. Do we have that? I'm trying to see if I can find that alternate demo. Not from what I can see in here. Jeez. Let's go to this. See if maybe we can find the other trailer. Jesus. Signbacks combat, unique enemies. Yeah, I can't. If anybody wants to see it, send me a link, and I'll definitely show it because I want to see it in full. I just don't want to take the time right now to just dump out and try and find it. Sorry, really, I didn't talk much during that little segment. It's just because I'm so interested in Days Gone. I didn't want to really just interrupt that. Plus, there just wasn't much time to kind of sit there and make comments. Although I guess some people are probably sitting there going, "Thank God he shut the hell up." Sorry, guys. I talk too much sometimes, but especially with my just generic ass comments. All right, let's see here. Oh, sweet. I think we found it. I want to see if I can get it. I like playing them from the direct source from Sony. I don't like to use other YouTubers' content on my channel. Let's see if I can. I'm actually going to see if I can use this to find one.
Well, so it's an interesting question, and for anybody who gets a chance to see our alternate demo that we're demonstrating in the theater today or online when it gets posted, is that
okay? I just don't think it's posted
yet. The time of day kind of drives the.
Our alternate path footage.
Okay, yeah, I was right. That's not what we were looking for, just yet. Okay, so I'll probably do a video of that or put it up on Saturday's show when I covered the outstanding leftover E3 news. Sorry, I took that short break there. If I could find it, I wanted to go through it just because, again, I'm so
Hello,
interested
my friends,
in
and welcome
game.
back to PlayStation Live from E3. Thanks, Ryan, for that great toss. I am joined once again by Dan Hay from Ubisoft Montreal. You're the creative director on Far Cry 5. Yes. Thank you so much for joining me. Sid, thank you for joining me as well. So we just saw the playthrough that you and I just did recently where we showed off Boomer the dog in Far Cry 5. Now we're going to be looking at a different gun for hire. First of all, tell me a little bit about it. What do we got going on today?
Well, we want to make sure that when people sort of explore the world, they have the opportunity to use different guns for hire. So we gave you Boomer for sure, but we also want to be able to give you the ability to fly and the ability to take this plane and strafe if you want. So we have this character in the world named Nick Rye, and he's quite a character. He's basically got this plane and he's fitted it with this giant gun. And you get this plane, and you can start to use him as a guns for hire. You can call him. He can strafe. He's got a hell of a personality.
Okay.
He'll show up and cause some trouble. And basically what he likes to do is blow shit up. That's what he's good at. So you give him a call, and that's exactly what he does.
Are you saying that a character in a Far Cry game has a big personality?
Yes, I am.
I don't believe you.
It's shocking, I understand.
It's nonsense. It sounds like nonsense. But you know what? We didn't even get a chance to talk about in this segment kind of the setting for Far Cry 5. So different from the rest of the series. I know we're going to go to the footage soon, so go to the footage, guys. But until we go there, tell me a little bit about why Montana.
Well, take a look at it. I mean, it's beautiful. We actually went there, and we just kind of discovered it and fell in love with it. The thing is that for us, we know that Far Cry has typically been about putting you on a plane 6,000 miles away and getting you somewhere exotic. But we said, what if we could do that kind of at home? What if we could let you explore the things that you already know and make that feel a little bit twisted and interesting? How do you do it? And in this case, what you're seeing is the cult, which we built, has actually taken over this small town of Falls End. You're looking at it, getting a sense of what you got to do. And what we wanted to do is give you the tools, the weapons, and the people to be able to build this resistance and then fight back.
Awesome. So I actually have community questions, Sid. Can you believe it? Dan, get ready.
All right, I'm ready.
You already know what these are. Oversoul Gaming wanted to know, this is the first Far Cry game I'm really interested in. Will it be newcomer friendly? Is it more focused on action or stealth?
It's a great question. I think that from the standpoint of it being newcomer friendly, for sure, right? We definitely want to be able to make it so that if you played a Far Cry before, you're going to be able to pick this up and go, okay, oh, that's different. Wait a minute, a surprise. But if you've never played a Far Cry before, it's a great opportunity for you to pick it up and to be able to experience it for the first time, because we're building a story that you author, right? Gone are the days of the linear story. What we want to be able to make it is that you can go in any direction, meet any character, and be able to imbibe in the action bubbles that you want to do. So for sure, it's completely friendly.
Good. Well, he asked a good question then.
That's great.
Go ahead.
What's your next one?
Philippe wants to know, is the wingsuit bad? Missed it a lot in Primal.
I don't even know if I'm allowed to.
Primal is.
Wait, you're just like sew together a bunch of fur skins or like just
It's not like we didn't talk about it, but the
okay, all right.
disclosure was that I don't honestly know if I'm allowed to talk about the wingsuit. You know what? Fuck it. Yes, it's back.
Okay.
And what's cool about it is that we didn't just put in the wingsuit. We actually built a character that's this legendary stuntman that's from Montana, our character. Awesome. And when you do a lot of this stuff with the wingsuit and other things that you do that are stunts in the world, you're actually paying homage to him, and you can unlock stuff based off his personality from like the 1960s and the 1970s.
That was a PlayStation Live for me.
There you go.
Heard it here first.
There you go.
I'm sure Dan's colleagues are just over the moon.
Exclusive.
And you know, I know we're already a little bit through the demo here, Dan, but we didn't really talk about the father and the cult yet. But that's obviously a huge point in Far Cry 5. It's sort of the antagonist of the series.
Yeah, I think that people know that we've worked really hard, and when you think about it from the standpoint of Far Cry 3 and Boss, and Far Cry 4 and the things that we did with Pagan Min, there's an expectation, the bar is set very, very high. So we said, how do we build someone who's truly interesting, truly magnetic? How do we make it so that they have control over people? How do we make it so that they have an ethos? And so we started to cobble together this idea of the father. And then we started to think about, okay, who do we get to play this? And we got a lot of interesting options in terms of casting. And then we found a guy by the name of Greg Brick, who is unbelievable. And this guy is spooky. He's a fantastic actor. He came in, he's playing our father. And the thing about him is that when you meet him, he was the one actor that I met that I actually believed he could bring me into a cult. And that was all the difference. Plus, he doesn't blink, and it's really spooky.
Like at all?
At all. It's weird, yeah.
That's another exclusive.
Yeah.
Wait, really though? Does he have like eye drops that he's
No. He's just intense. He's
okay.
really, he's really good at his craft, and he's intense. And when he brings the father, he brings it all.
That's amazing.
And Dan, this is amazing because compared to the footage we were just seeing, our driver here is already, it's so much different from what we were seeing before.
Different game.
Different pathways through, different encounters.
That's what we wanted, and it wasn't just in terms of a single area. I mean, we want that for all the regions in the game. That you're going to meet different communities, you're going to have different guns for hire, different opportunities, that you can attack it. I mean, Far Cry has been about freedom, opportunity, and surprise, and that's what we bring.
And these partners, these co-op partners are available for co-op play as well, right?
Well, what we do is we wanted to be able to make it that we had 3 basic systems for this. You have guns for hire, so you've got people like Nick, people like Grace.
Got it.
You've got fangs for hire, people or animals like Boomer, and other
people,
animals. Other animals that I can't talk about, but I desperately want to. And then you also have co-op, and you've got friends for hire. And we make it part of this big system so that when you go out into the for hire system and go out in the world, the anecdote factory pushes back.
Awesome. I mean, I heard
we're almost out of time, Sid.
To other animals. I mean, could it be a moose? Could it be something? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
There's no time for moose.
All right, I'll be quiet.
Dan, it's always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for coming on. That was Far Cry 5 coming to PS4. Dan, such a pleasure. And of course, we have so much more coming up today from PlayStation Live from E3. Stay with us.
I want to try and hunt down a. Yeah, it's Eurogamer. Yeah, I can't. Oh well. I mean, we already saw the dog a little bit in the stage thing. Oh wait, that'll be at the Ubisoft conference, and I haven't done that video yet. That video will be up tomorrow, along with some other stuff. I've got how to put this. I'm starting a few new series. Yes, I know I already have so much active. But these are just going to be some short things that I'm just gonna do a bunch of videos for over the next. I'm just gonna sit and just marathon these games for the next couple days. I don't know. I've just been feeling really kind of stressed with all of these RPGs and the very serious stuff that I've been doing. So I thought I'd be focusing and do some simple shooters. And some of these are some shooters that some I haven't played, some I have, and so I just thought, you know, it would be pretty fun to just sit and do some shooters. Just kind of I'm not gonna say a genre I don't do enough on this channel. It's just I haven't had a nice simple like linear shooter in a while. So that's kind of my plan for the next couple days. Like I said, Ubisoft video tomorrow. I will be covering pretty much. I say covering. I'll be sitting and talking about and relaying a bunch of leftover E3 news that I didn't talk about in this video on the Saturday show. I might do what I did last year and kind of break it up into parts and do it throughout the weekend. I haven't fully decided. Holy shit, I've been doing this for an hour now. When this video, I sat down to make maybe a 15-minute video, and now it's about an hour long. Thanks for watching, everybody. Sorry if I took up too much time talking. I'm so interested in these games, and like I said, I know a lot of my comments sometimes are just generic. Oh, that's cool, or this, or I'm not sure about this. I just bring up my own questions. I literally, it's kind of like an audio diary of just me sitting here going, oh, that's neat. Oh, well, what if this, or maybe, or I ask questions, or I just sit and complain. So that's just kind of what this channel is. And but I'm loving this. I can't wait to see what more out of some of these games. Can't wait for the end of the year, because the game I forgot that's coming out around October. That's Shadow of War. I totally forgot about that because that got pushed back from August. But we have a lot of really good games still coming out at the end by the end of the year. 2018 is looking really great. I think I retweeted something from the Rad Brad, great YouTuber, massive YouTuber. If you haven't heard of him, where have you been? He tweeted out something basically saying how great 2018 is already looking. So what we got: Wolfenstein, probably Days Gone. I'm gonna say if we don't have a release date for Days Gone by Gamescom, it's definitely a 2018 title. Gamescom I think is the absolute latest, but I'm gonna have a strong feeling right now that Days Gone is going into 2018. I think people are right. That I'm just being unrealistic, hoping that it'll be a 2017 title. But we have plenty to play this year. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I'll be playing a lot of stuff. I also want to try and get through South Park: The Stick of Truth. Just kind of do that before we play The Fractured But Whole later in the year. Any other announcements? Any other general comments? I think that's about it. Just want to say one last time, thank you so much for watching, everybody. And as always, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, the website, and Minds.com. Links to all of those are down in the description below. Please remember to like, comment. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more E3 videos, along with general gameplay and whatever else I do on this channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. And until then, I'm AJ Gels. This is the Untitled Gaming Channel. I'm out.